In this video, Audrey will show you how to make earrings from recycled plastic bottles. So let's start off by letting you know what you're going to need for these earrings. Some basic things like scissors, a craft knife and a ruler. Then the main thing that's different about this particular project, you're going to need a recycled plastic bottle with the label already taken off. Then you're going to need a candle and lighter. Then some tweezers. Then you're going to need some paper clips. You're going to need some nail polish, color you can choose. Then you're going to need some beads of different sorts, which you're going to buy online or in a local shop. And finally, to put it all together, you're going to need some jewellery pliers. And as with most of Audrey's earring videos, you'll need headpins, jump rings, and some ear wires. So the first thing that Audrey's going to do is to cut the top of the bottle off. So with the craft knife, she's just making a little incision, enough to be able to get her scissors in to then cut all the way round. It doesn't matter if you don't end up exactly where you started, so long as you've done it well enough that the top will be able to be removed. That's fairly straightforward. Then she does exactly the same thing at the bottom of the bottle. Make a little incision with the craft knife. Goes without saying, be really careful when you're using your craft knife. Pop the scissors into where you've made the incision and cut all the way round so that the bottom of the bottle is off. As we said in the introduction, she's already taken off the label that was on the bottle. Having taken off the top and the bottom, the next step is just to cut from one side to the other. And this means that you've got a plastic sheet that you can now work with. Obviously, it's not going to be a flat sheet because it's spent its whole life as a cylinder. But you've got enough there that, as you can see, in a moment, you'll be working with that. So the next thing Audrey's going to do is taking her scissors, starting at one end, she's going to cut all the way around, approximately 3 centimeters in from the edge. Now, Audrey knows what 3 centimeters looks like, so she's not marking it, but you could take a marker pen and draw the line if you prefer. It doesn't have to be exact, just approximately 3 centimeters all the way around. If your bottle has got some grooves around it, don't worry too much about these. They won't matter in the final product. So she's now got a strip that's approximately 3 centimeters all the way along. What she's now going to do is, going to one end, she's going to go 3 centimeters in and cut it again. What you'll then end up with is a approximate square of 3 centimeters. Now, for a pair of earrings in the design that Audrey's doing, she just needs one for each of the earrings. She's just cutting a few because I'm talking at the same time. So as you probably guessed, the plastic squares that you've got are now going to become the petals for your flower. What Audrey's doing is, on each edge in the middle, she's making a cut that goes not fully into the center. So she's now got 4 cuts, one from each side. Each one goes part way in, but not fully to the center. Next of all, working with the same cuts that she's just done, she's shaping it a little bit more like a triangle. So the straight cuts give her the position that she needs the triangle to be in. If you go straight for a triangle, it's much more easy to make a mistake in the position. So your initial straight line cut gives you the position, and then you just cut a little bit each side of your initial straight line to give you a triangle shape. So you've now got 4 triangle grooves, again not going fully into the center. And the final part of this particular piece is to curl the edges so that the petals have got curled edges rather than straight corners. So what you're doing really is, instead of it being a square, you're making it slightly more circle shaped. The first thing right now is you'll notice it's not Audrey's hands, it's me, her husband. And Audrey's mental health is a little bit struggling right now, but she really wants to get this video finished today. I'm going to give it a go. So what you'll have is the two pieces that you've cut out that at the moment are fairly flat. Obviously petals are not flat, so we want to make them into a 3D shape, more petal-like. So the first thing you do is you take your tweezers. With your tweezers, you pick up one of the plastic petals. We've got the candle already lit. So what we're doing is we're just melting one of the corners, not too much, just enough that with your fingers you can manipulate it into a 3D shape. Now, I'm just doing one at a time, because if you heat up too many sides at once, then it becomes cool before you've had a chance to manipulate it round. So we're just curling it round here. Sometimes you get a little bit of a sort of a burnt colour. Don't worry too much about that. We can deal with that at the next stage. So you've got more of a 3D petal shape. And what we then need is a hole in the centre. So just a normal paper clip. Undo the paper clip so you've got a pointed end. You're going to heat up the pointed end in the candle. And what we're going to do in a moment is just pop the pointed end that's hot through the centre of your petal to make a hole. That's all we need to do. As you can see, Audrey's finished product looks much better than mine, but you get the idea of what you need to do. So I'll show you again. Pick up your flat petal, hold the tweezers over the candle, melt it enough just that the petal curls in. And I'm working my way all the way around. I can see now why Audrey likes me to do the talking, because it's quite hard to concentrate and talk at the same time. So we've got a more 3D shaped petal. We take the paper clip that we've already undone. We heat it up over the candle. And we pop it through the center of the petal there to make a hole. As you can see, Audrey's are far neater than mine, but hopefully you get the basic idea of what you're doing. Bear in mind the paperclip end is still warm, so put it somewhere where you're not going to be tempted to touch it. And finally, blow out your candle, and that's this step finished. So now Audrey's going to use her own petals, the one that she made, that were much better quality than the ones I had to go at. So we're trying to get them from the clear plastic that we've got at the moment into the other ones that you can see there, the finished products. Obviously you choose whatever colour nail polish you would like your flowers to be. So Audrey's making something that's a little bit like a buttercup, which is a yellow flower. You're only painting the inside, so you don't need to paint both sides because it's clear, it's going to show through anyway. You're just painting the one side of the flower on the inside. And there you have it, your two petals. Obviously now you're going to give them time to dry before we go on to the next step, which we're putting everything together. Audrey's now going to put all the bits together to end up with something looking like this earring here. Obviously you can make your own design. This is just the one that Audrey's doing. So as a reminder, you're going to need a head pin, a jump ring, and an ear wire. Audrey's using gold plated. You might want to use silver plated. She's then got the petal that she made before and some additional beads that work well with her particular design. So step by step, here's what she's going to do. You pick up the head pin. Audrey's putting a small bead on first, because if you go for a big bead, it may well slip off the end. So the small bead will keep everything from slipping off. In her design, she's then going for a bigger bead in the same colour. Then she's putting on the petal. Obviously make sure you put the petal on the right way round. And Audrey's then using 3 green beads for the stem of the flower. Again, you design it however you want to design it once you've worked out the basic principles. Having got to the end, she's then going to take her pliers and bend the head pin around to form a circle at the top. Now this is doing two things. First of all, it's stopping the beads from dropping off. And secondly, it's giving a circle from which you're going to attach the jump ring and the ear wire. You obviously need to make sure that the circle is a closed circle with no gap. Sometimes takes just a little bit of manipulating. So now all the beads are held in place and you've got a circle ready. So you take your jump ring. If you've worked with jump rings before, you'll know that there's a part where you can manipulate it with pliers and break the gap in order to attach it to the earring that you've just made. So you're breaking the gap. Sometimes jump rings can be a little bit stubborn. Obviously, if they were too easy to break the gap, then it also means they're going to fall off very easily and you're going to lose somewhere outside what you've just made. So having made a gap in the jump ring, she's adding on the earring and then adding on the ear wire. And then she's got the fun job of trying to close the gap that she's just struggled to open. Again, you want to make sure that that gap is completely closed to make sure that you don't lose the lovely earrings that you've just made when you are out. And it can take a little bit of manipulating sometimes. Depending on the quality of the jump ring, some are easier to manipulate than others. That is actually quite a struggle at the moment. This jump ring is being quite stubborn. And there we have it. She's got her two earrings matching the same. Perfect. So there we are. Finally, after a few stops and starts from our side, we finished earrings from recycled plastic bottles. So Audrey's going to have a well-deserved rest. And until next time, this is Audrey herself saying goodbye.
Goodbye.